So JJK's 8th episode aired last week, and I was honestly mind-blown by how cinematic Higuruma's backstory all felt. And I don't just mean how the character's movements looked so realistic and expressive. Although that was very impressive to see, I believe from a storytelling standpoint, this episode absolutely killed it. It was as if I was watching a movie because of how tense and dramatic this episodic flashback was. The key word here is pacing. JJK really tries to slow things down for the sake of bringing out the serious tone of Higuruma's backstory. And it was a perfect choice because it really showed how disheartening his job is as a defense attorney, which turned him into this very jaded man who always wears this emotionless expression on his face. But this is very well contrasted by his innate desire to protect people from being wrongfully convicted for a crime they did not do, since Higuruma had stated it himself that he never wants to turn a blind eye to any injustice he sees or to the people that needs his help. But this divide between his stoic personality versus the guilt and anger that he feels for failing to defend innocent people from a corrupted legal system that punishes them is what makes Higuruma such a memorable character, even if we only get to know him for like half an episode. But what I really loved about Higuruma's backstory is how it was able to capture realistic emotions without betraying its serious tone. Take for example this iconic gesture from Higuruma where in the context of the scene he had actually won a trial for his client. But being a man with this experience, he knows deep inside that this legal battle is far from being over, and you see that anxiety and stress written all over his face. So when the time came that Higuruma's client was charged with a life sentence, that man stared at him dead in the eye, a stare filled with hatred and blame. And this painfully reminded Higuruma of the guilt he feels for being unable to protect the innocent from an unfair justice system that wrongfully punishes them, and that finally made him snap. And the way he kept banging that gavel against the table, I swear my man was venting all his hatred and frustration towards the injustice he witnessed. But all this clearly shows that this backstory did a really great job in getting its characters to convey such strong emotions with their facial expressions or their movements, and it makes the story just that more absorbing to watch. But let's get to the most important thing about this episode, the animation, because oh my gosh, does it look incredible. And I mean, it genuinely looks lifelike. And believe me when I say this, I could not stop pausing the episode when I first watched it because of how freaking smooth and fluid the characters' movements were. There is such an awesome expressiveness that you get to see in each character, which makes it feel like you're seeing actual human beings going about their lives rather than just being a bunch of choppy images moving up and down a screen. Just look at the scene where Higuruma stands up from his chair to walk out of his office. Just notice the natural sway of his arm and body as he walks while simultaneously pushing his colleague's chair out of his way to walk past her. It looks so incredibly smooth and it's animated so seamlessly. Even the mundane act of walking is made to look so cool because of how natural their movements look. And it doesn't scream artificial or fake, it screams realism. The quality of the animation combined with these realistic human gestures makes the characters' movements look almost lifelike, and I honestly love seeing how much JJK is getting better at it with each episode that comes out. But that also goes without saying that the cinematography in this episode was so goddamn good. And there is so much intention and purpose to how certain elements on screen are placed. And you might be thinking, what kind of intention or purpose does JJK's cinematography even have? Well, I'm glad you asked. Take for example how most wide shots in this episode tries to emphasize movement, space, or the environment around the characters. That would be the intention/purpose of a wide shot. It makes a place feel alive and it prioritizes showing the people or things that inhabit the frame. This can be seen especially in the moments where Higuruma and his assistant are working overtime to win their case. So you see them walking around town, questioning key witnesses or falling asleep in a bus stop so they miss the ride back home. Scenes like these are what makes a wide shot really useful and cool to use, because it also tells a story and builds on the narrative through a more broader perspective. While on the other hand, narrow shots focus more on capturing emotion, smaller gestures, and facial expressions, which we see in a lot of the courtroom drama that takes place in the episode, and especially during this moment where we see Higuruma's jaded expression as he reflects on why he chooses to take on these impossible cases. And as he does this, we see a pair of eyes that look kind, hopeful, and determined. But then it quickly cuts to a pair of eyes that looks tired, hopeless, and even frustrated. That is the beauty of narrow shots, to make even the slightest movements or emotions feel more present and heavy, allowing the viewer to absorb more of the minute details that they're seeing on screen. From the storytelling to the emotional writing to the animation to the cinematography, everything about this episode and Higuruma's backstory is literal cinema, and I have nothing left to say except that this episode is the embodiment of what a cinematic shonen anime would look like, and I freaking love it.